Hey guys, let's talk about some books that I bought. Hey guys, my name's Elizabeth. I'm a book buyer and a book reader and a book seller, but today we're talking about books that I bought, specifically non-fiction books. Let's go through 5 non-fiction books that I bought recently and why I'm excited about them. The first one on this pile is Matilda Boseley's ADHD Brain Buddy, a practical toolkit for adults navigating a more ADHD-friendly life. The call number on here, oh, there's an ant on the back. Goodbye. The call number is 158, which is psychology, applied psychology maybe, and that makes sense because it's to do with your brain. I bought this not because I have ADHD, but because somebody that I'm close to has ADHD, and I wanted to be able to support them with some practical ways of doing life when they are struggling, especially with executive dysfunction as part of ADHD. But I think it's useful for anyone. Normally I would read the blurb, but I want to read you a part from the introduction instead that kind of explains. So Matilda Boseley, you may know her from TikTok, especially she's a reporter for The Guardian, and she wrote a book called The Year I Met My Brain, where she discusses her ADHD diagnosis in her early 20s. And then this is the follow-up book with practical strategies. And she's written here in the introduction, she talks about ADHD being stranded at sea, an ocean metaphor. And she says, I keep talking about the ocean because that's how I like to explain the experience of having an ADHD brain to others. For neurotypical people, someone without a neurodevelopmental condition like ADHD, getting something done is kind of like walking on land. There are hills to climb and diversions to avoid, but ultimately the only thing you have to do to change direction or speed is to tell your feet which way to face and how fast to go. But when traveling by sailboat across a wide open sea, there are a lot more factors at play. Sometimes having an ocean brain allows us to catch brilliant winds, move at awesome speeds, and even get places faster than our non-ADHD peers. It's just that we don't always get to choose when that happens. And when your intentions don't align with the tides of your brain, you can end up stuck. So, as I said, I don't identify as having ADHD, but I know people who are diagnosed, and I would diagnose as having ADHD-like features. And so this is useful for me in helping me understand ADHD brains. And of course, there's no one size fits all, but I think some of these strategies are really great, really interesting, and interesting for everybody, not just somebody who may have ADHD. Boseley has divided this up into 3 parts: rough waters, for when it's just hard; for full sails, when you've got the energy and you need to focus it; and then deep diving, which is reflection and self-learning kind of activities and prompts and tactics. I had to skim through the rough water section because that's the part that I can help somebody else with, especially if they're living in my home and I have more ability to, I want to say nag. It's out of love. It's nagging out of love, but it is nagging and prompting and supporting and shoving. So I read the rough water section, which really tackles that executive dysfunction, getting up, get your feet out of bed, brush your teeth. Even making a choice of what's for breakfast can be overwhelming. And as somebody who has had so many years of depression, I understand that. So narrowing the focus to get up, this is the next step, this is the next step, and just follow along makes sense to me. But also there's strategies for reminding you to stay on task, to eat breakfast, to take your meds, to brush your teeth, because it's easy to wander off and lose focus on the next task in the chain. And I get that too. If you or somebody you know has ADHD tendencies, have a flick if you're struggling. The next one in my list is A Body Made of Glass, A History of a Hypochondria by Crampton. The call number here is 616.85, which is Miscellaneous diseases of the nervous system and mental disorders. All the receipts in here. I love when that happens. Turns out I got this book for free because I used my loyalty points. Anyway, I saw this on a bookstore's Instagram and I thought I have to get that because it sounds fascinating, but also at the time I worked with somebody who does have health anxiety, which is what hypochondria has been rebranded to. I've read the introduction, which was fascinating, but I've got no further. The blurb says, an ache, a pain, the feeling that something is not right. These could be symptoms of illness, but they could also be the symptoms of hypochondria, an enigmatic condition that might be physiological or psychological, or both. Beginning in the age of Hippocrates and taking us right through to the wellness industry today, A Body Made of Glass explores a condition that even doctors don't fully understand, a condition that exists beyond survival or cure, where body and mind seem locked in a strange and exhausting dance. The result is a landmark work, both a fascinating cultural history of hypochondria and a moving account of what it means to live with this invisible, elusive, and increasingly widespread condition. I feel like Crampton is a journalist. That often happens, eh? She is the author of The Way to the Sea, The Forgotten Histories of the Thames Estuary, and the creator of the She Done It podcast. Oh, okay. So the introduction is Crampton herself suffers from health anxiety, and I just found that really straight away engaging in this person's journey. Sometimes, a lot of the time actually, people who write the memoir version of the history or the biography, it just really annoys me. Like, I want to know the more objective facts than your subjective take on it. Take those words, objective and subjective and facts, with a grain of salt. But I found Crampton's story in the introduction really engaging, and I was excited to read more. So I will at some point. This next one was on display at the bookstore. I couldn't say no. It is Ed Simon, Devil's Contract, The History of the Faustian Bargain. The call number is 809.93351. Let me tell you what that is. Let me find out. It is, mythology, legends, and literature. Is quite specific. Where's the blurb? From ancient times to the modern world, the idea of the Faustian bargain, the exchange of one's soul in return for untold riches and power, has exerted a magnetic pull upon our collective imaginations. Ed Simon takes us on a historical tour of the Faustian bargain, illustrating how the sacrifice of principles for power drives all kinds of social ills, from colonialism to nuclear warfare and beyond. In doing so, Simon convenes just how much of the Faustian bargain shows us about power and evil and about ourselves. I was excited to read this because of the devil part. As part of my degree, I did a lot of study about the devil, particularly in medieval and early modern thinking about the devil and about demons. And so that is why I picked up this book. This one is The Haunted Wood, A History of Childhood Reading by Sam Leith. This one also has a really long call number. It's 808.89282, which is children's literature. What a shock. This one I saw on Blue Sky. Somebody was talking about this, and I waited till it was in paperback to read it. And I'm glad that I did, because it got me a job in a bookstore. I'm not even joking. Where's the blurb? I might have to look up a blurb, because basically there's just everybody giving it praise on the back. I'm going to get the blurb from Storygraph. Do you remember the first time you fell in love with a book? The stories we read as children, extend far beyond our childhoods. They are a window into our deepest hopes, joys, and anxieties. They reveal our past, collective and individual, remembered and imagined, and invite us to dream up different futures. In a pioneering history of children's literature from the ancient world to the present day, Sam Leith reveals the magic of our most cherished stories and the ways in which they have shaped and consoled entire generations. Excavating the complex lives of beloved writers, Leith offers a humane portrait of a genre, one acutely sensitive to its author's distinct contexts. Doesn't that just sound great? You can see why I was interested in it. It is the combination of my English degree and my history degree, and it just looks really pretty, doesn't it? I am such a sucker for a white spine white cardboard spine paperback. It's just my favorite. And finally, a business bro book. This is The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. Get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. This I picked up because it is talked about in productivity bro circles, and I love that shit. But also because the time that I picked it up, I was transitioning jobs from working full-time for somebody to working full-time for myself. And I thought this would be useful to corral my thoughts and set my footsteps in a new direction. And it was great for that. Is there a blurb? Oh God, it's so long. Blah, 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 blah. A guide to creating results through focus, commitment, and accountability. The 12-week year incorporates the proven disciplines and principles of effective execution into the context of 12-week execution cycles. In the book, you'll develop how to do that. It's a how-to book for both individuals and organizations that would like to get shit done. I agree. So obviously I have read it, but that is the reason I picked it up and the reason it stays in my collection. And there you go. That's 5 nonfiction books that I have procured recently. And actually, even if I haven't read them all, I have looked at them all, and that's an achievement. The ones that I have read, there will be reviews coming, so stick around and I will see you there.